Once again, welcome to the Neath Talbot Innovation Exchange Forum podcast, the place where businesses in manufacturing, engineering, IT and innovation can get together to learn about opportunities, funding and collaboration, thanks to the Community Renewal Fund.
We've been able to utilise Neath Talbot to up our facilities. So we've had an amazing intervention rate. We've got a research and development lab, quality control lab with great equipment in there that if we didn't have that support, we probably wouldn't have bought, because we just, you don't have the backing or the funding yet until those sales come in. So it kind of sped up our quality, it sped up our manufacturing. The support has been absolutely, undeniably has helped us grow.
The remit of the Neath Talbot Innovation Exchange Forum is to encourage growth, up skills and reinforce the economic opportunities.
And so as those sales grow now, the team will grow, obviously, and that's the plan, is employing, not just for employing people, but they are going to be needed to fulfill the roles. And that's a range throughout the company as well. So from people who are highly qualified through to maybe apprentices.
In this podcast series, we've been talking to a wide range of businesses about their successes and challenges and their visions. This podcast is with a relatively young company based in Neath Talbot called Hexigone. Let's find out more.
So with me today on our podcast is Patrick Dodds, who is the Managing Director of Hexigone, and Ellen Newington, who's the Marketing Director. A huge welcome to both of you. Thank you for joining us on our podcast today. Patrick, this was your baby. You started this. Tell us a bit about what Hexigone is, what it does, when it started.
Yeah, so thank you again for inviting us on here, Helen, and really appreciate being part of the programme with Neath Talbot. So Hexigone started actually in Swansea University. I guess I've always been looking for something, a business idea to do, but in the meantime I did a chemistry degree, did a little bit of marketing, then I went into environmental chemistry, and then I did pharmaceutical research. I just got really bored, so I decided to come back to the university here in Swansea, where they do an amazingly paid doctorate scheme. I came back into the masters first in coatings, and that's where I kind of got into coatings, and then I did a 4-year doctorate and looking to develop a new product or new materials, smart release materials to replace current corrosion inhibitors. And the one we're replacing, or in the beginning, was hexavalent chromate or chromium 6, and this is what was in the film Erin Brockovich that gave everyone cancer. It's a really nasty chemical, but it's quite widely used. 45% of the corrosion inhibitors in the world market are still this chemical. Here in Europe, it's been banned, but my research was to try and find an alternative and look at a smart release, so on-demand delivery of corrosion protection. And this was mainly for the steel industry, but we branched out then, so I spun out the university, and we created the company in 2016 off the back of a prize. And then from that, we've then had investment and some money for grant-funded money for feasibility studies to take it into a commercial product, and now we're currently selling globally.
Wow. So that's a massive leap from 2016 to now. It's not that long ago, 2016. How have you done that?
It feels like a long time.
I bet it does.
Everyone kind of looks and says, "Oh, it's straightforward," or "Why haven't you achieved it?" It's such a long process to do, and starting any business, you've got a lot of obstacles. And I think Ella's been with me from the beginning. We've changed tack, we've pivoted, we've done so many different things from when we set out in the beginning, that you just kind of have to become a constant problem solver. So if you think about it, we've done 5 years, 6 years now of constant problem solving. And we review our work every month, so on a monthly basis. But if you look back, say just 12 months ago to where we are now, it's such a huge difference in the company. And I think people need to do that when they're doing their company and growing it, is just look back 3 months, look back 12 months, and even people in their careers, if they feel like they're stagnating, well, actually just look back at where you were. But so yeah, it's been a struggle. We've got it out of university. We're a completely standalone company, so we're not part of the university now. We are a commercial entity. There's lots of stuff we've learned on the way. I think, Ella, what do you think on the marketing front? I think it's just a complete change from where we were.
Yeah, definitely, because it's a very conservative industry. So I think coming in as a new company, you start off doing competitor analysis and think, well, none of our competitors are here or doing this or doing that. And actually we sort of stuck our neck out and we're like, no, well, we're digitally focused, we're forward-thinking organization, we're going to do things the way we think we should. And it's really fared us well, like people comment on our marketing strategy and say, how amazing our socials and our website are and things like that. And we're constantly trying to develop it further, the animations and all sorts of things, but really thinking about the customer journey and all the different decision makers as well, because we're a B2B company, really long sales cycles as well. So that's a real big challenge for us, is to try to get to the right decision maker at the right time. So for that, you need lots and lots of different bits of content. Yeah, a really strategic approach to the sales.
Well, how do you do that in a business that, in all due respect to you, Patrick, and what you've done, but to the lay person like me, who doesn't know a lot about technical and manufacturing, and that, how do you do that, Ella, with something like a corrosion inhibitor that I wouldn't even know where to start? And I make video and I wouldn't even know where to start with that. How do you transpose that?
Well, there's lots of different markets, where our chemistry, our sort of product can go into. And I think the first thing you've got to do is sort of really understand your audience and know where they are and know where your product needs to fit. And then from then you can really think about, we know that we work particularly well in solvent-borne alkyds, which isn't going to mean anything to you guys, but that's predominantly the protective and marine markets.
Okay.
So we know that just from industry knowledge and speaking to people, and Paddy's, background as well in chemistry. So therefore, then you go to the publications that have those sorts of audience and sort of go from there.
I was going to say, there's been a lot of trial and error. We've run campaigns and we've learned from them. So we created the product and we've created the parameters around the product, and we've got that consistent. We've got very high QC levels. We have testing parameters. There's a human factor in this always, though. Even if it's B2B, we're always selling person to person. So identifying who that key person is in the company and giving them, you can't just say our product's amazing. You have to go in there, learn about your customer, learn about what they want to achieve and how the product can give that solution to them. And it's taken us a while to get there. I know we only say 5 years, but it's so quick. When you're working in a startup, the pace of work is just, there's no time to sit still. There's not enough time in the day, really, I'd be honest with you. All of us working just really hard. And I think that's a big element here with Ella and the marketing and the strategy we've done is, you don't have a lot of money. You've got to stretch it as far as possible with the time. We have understanding investors. We have great support from the Neath Talbot Council programs that we've had, who've then put us on to, say, Innovate UK Edge. And it kind of focuses us that we learn. We don't make the mistakes because other people have already learned it. So the experts come in, give us advice. We listen to that. And I think that's also helped us kind of, myself and Ella, we've been part of a few programs. We've worked with an amazing lady called Catherine Giblin, who is incredible on kind of hard tech marketing. And she really helped us get going on the marketing front. It means that we're utilizing digital that other people in our industry aren't. And we're hitting different global markets and appearing above in people's digital. But it's using those professional platforms such as LinkedIn or utilizing the publications. And Ella's done an amazing job at just honing in on exactly how to target the right people, because it's such a niche product. Although the coatings market is massive and the opportunities for the product are massive, it is only a niche type of person who understands the benefits of moving to our product. Most of our sales inquiries are all inbound into our inbox. So they come to info@. We try and prospect, but generally Ella's done such an amazing job on the marketing, brilliant technical articles, that it drives people to us.
So talk to me then, Patrick, about some of the people that you're working with. Talk to me about the types of industries that you work with.
Predominantly, we are working in a very conservative industry. It's the coatings industry. So when Ella talks about the solvent-borne alkyds, if you were painting your garden gate, or it's an oil, you call them an oil-based paint, it is most likely going to be that. So it's used everywhere. So every metal asset needs a coating to protect it, or else it will just corrode and go back to being, iron ore essentially is where it wants to go. So aesthetically, it's not pleasing, but also it can be quite dangerous. There are deaths related to failures of products as well. So it's a conservative industry that they wouldn't, sometimes some of the industries don't have to change. So the legislation banned hexavalent chromate. So that's given us a window of opportunity to get in. But there's also products already on the market that have been there for 35 years. And people are reluctant to kind of move away from them, even though our product works better. So the end markets then, so the coatings companies will then send to the end users. Now this could be someone doing a maintenance program, someone who owns a ship, coil coating, aerospace, automotive refinish. It's wide ranging. So it's a big market for us to tap into, but we've got to stay focused to get those sales, to keep us going, to then spread out into those markets. The other thing is we make a massive effort to collaborate with everyone. So every customer we work with, we make sure we're working so closely with them that we can have a really good conversation with them to understand where the product fits. And sometimes you've got to say to yourself, okay, the product doesn't fit. Our markets are huge, but we're trying to stay focused within there, and then it gives us time to develop out afterwards. We can target our marketing towards the technical person, but we also need to target to the purchasing. We also need to target to the technical manager, the product manager, the customer facing person, because it's got to hit with all of them for them to want to do it. And then we're working with tier one companies. These are companies that are making 15 billion a year. So you can imagine the processes are reasonably slow with those guys. And then down to a smaller company, we've split them out into tier 1, 2, 3, and 4, and they could be down at the bottom end. They're making 20 million pounds a year, but they all require the product. And we're trying to do essentially what we're doing is a behavioral change rather than just swapping a product that's the same as something they're using before. It's a totally unique product. We've patented it. We've had the patents granted in multiple regions around the world. I mean, again, just getting that done is not easy. We're always open to collaborating, working with different people, but we also send that out to our customers that we're not just here just to sell you our product. We're here to work with you and actually, work out the problem together that's going to be beneficial to both guys.
How do you get your staff? How many staff have you got, and how do you grow and upskill the people that you've got?
So again, on this one, we're fortunate where we are. There's so many funding schemes to help. The staff that we have, generally, we've put out adverts and get the best talent, and we won't employ someone for the post unless they're perfect. And also one thing we double check on the interview process is, actually, do they fit the culture? Because we're such a small team, they have to fit the culture. And if they don't, it's not going to work in the long run. And then there's a whole thing about, I was watching a program the other day about how the SAS choose their team. There's 4 corners of it. One of them is their performance, and the other one is actually their trustworthiness. And it sounds really deep now, but from this, you don't want someone who's a high performer that you can't trust.
Yeah.
What they say is they actually want a middle performer but high trust, and you have to trust the team. So yeah, we put adverts out there. We go to the local market. We've got we've got a very diverse group in the team. Everyone's a really nice fit for the team, but they're also good at their job. But also there's a massive element of trust between us all that, we can trust each other to get the job done. And if we need help, we can always go and call upon them. But if you're doing a good job, that's the main thing. It doesn't matter where you're from or who you are. We don't care. That's our culture. You can come from anywhere, and it doesn't really matter, but as long as we're doing a good job and we're gelling as a team. We have also then received a huge amount of support from the Welsh Government since COVID. We've fully funded programs to upskill. So there's been leadership courses. Ella's done a leadership course. I've done one. So I think you were Chwarae Teg, Ella.
Yeah, that's a Women in Leadership with Chwarae Teg is brilliant.
Yeah.
And then we've got our apprentices who've done NVQs in warehousing, manufacturing as well, technicals, again, technicians, manager for doing manufacturing has also come through leadership courses. We've got project management courses, things that we wouldn't be able to afford, but it's upskilling because it's been made available to us through the apprentice scheme. So this enables us then to enter into and do. So everyone's upskilling and developing the company as well as we move along. So I think it's really key to develop the team, the whole team as well.
There's definitely an ethos of growth in the organisation, isn't there? Like Natalia, our marketing assistant, who's amazing. She asked, could she do the Institute of Digital Marketing qualification, and straight away Paddy signed it off, and we had her on the course that afternoon. She was absolutely beaten. It was lovely to see. Ethos was there to get it.
Yeah, but it makes them feel valued, doesn't it? Yeah, that's the key. Yeah.
And every team member, I like to make them feel valued. And it's not even my saying. It's just taking bits and pieces of it. But you train your workforce so they can leave, but you create a culture so they want to stay. And that's the kind of the way we want to do it here as well. And it's not fluffy. It's just a conducive work environment. And try new things, make a mistake, but learn from the mistake. Don't be afraid of making a mistake, because you're not going to try and progress and try something different. So I think that's another one as well, is instilling this whole ethos of continuous improvement, but also innovation. Just trying a new thing. Don't be scared of trying something new. And things don't go right all the time. Like through this whole process, there's been many a mistake made to get here, but only by making those mistakes, we've got to the next stage. And I think that's it. We're just all progressing forward, and it's kind of like the company and the people are growing along with our sales and the manufacturing and everything. Everything's growing. It's like it's a kind of growth mindset. And even when COVID hit, we kind of didn't go, okay, we better shut down and everyone close doors and go away. We then flipped onto making hand sanitizer and then selling it to local councils or giving it to the NHS. So and then where we did sell it to local councils, we made some profit, but we didn't feel right about making profit, so we gave that to Mental Health UK, which is just great for the team. And that's like the team ethos is you're always going to face problems in companies, and especially growing companies from scratch. And it's all about that learning and moving on. But we went out to the USA and we met with one of our competitors there because we're maybe thinking about doing some work with them. And they said, your digital marketing is like market leading. And I was like, what? And these guys have been established making millions and millions of pounds, loads of money. And they were like, right, we've noticed your stuff is amazing. The whole thing, and they've started changing their website and other things like that. So we're a little small startup in Neath Talbot, but we're actually having a big effect on outwardly. We don't have much local custom. There's not many coatings companies in the UK because they've all been bought up, so they're owned by big companies from, say, the USA or the USA actually. There's a
big trend of acquisition in the coatings industry, isn't it? I think there's like the top 10 own like 60% of the market or something like that.
Wow.
It's so well, as Patrick says, there's not many local people, so we have to have a global strategy. And like he says, I never envisaged me sitting in an office in Baglan putting together a global strategy and speaking to our suppliers in Indonesia and things like that.
Yeah.
It sounds pretty flashy when you say it.
No, it is, and it's surprising how many businesses there are like yours that have come out of the university through research and development and set up in this part of the world. And you've said it's about the funding, it's about the support. And because you're global, you don't necessarily lean on what's happening locally in order to grow your business, I guess. But talk to me a little bit about sort of challenges that you faced and maybe a couple of good successes that we can share with our listeners to this podcast.
There's a huge amount of successes. There's a huge amount of challenges. You have to grow a thick skin on this. And some people will be saying, oh, you've been doing this for 5 years. Why is it? We're getting to the point now where it's suddenly going very big, very quickly. And it takes time to get there. So I think that's the one thing, is being patient, because it does take time. I think that's what, a lot of people, you've got to be resilient. You might call it pig-headed or stubborn, but I'd call it resilience. There's a lot of stuff along the way that could put you off from doing this. And I think that some of our challenges are that we are global. So we can't necessarily just nip down to our customer and just get a chat with them. You've got to try and get hold of them. And if they've moved on to a different department, or there's communication's key here. And I think that some of the big successes really are that, once, we started exporting, being able to, say that we're exporting to Peru, India, Venezuela, and then the other countries are all picking up. So Europe, we have a very good, amazing distributor in Europe. They're like world renowned.
Yeah, we've got distributors in every continent now, haven't we? Which is an amazing achievement.
Wow. Yeah, that is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Be able to get to that global point. You don't get this in England. Speak to my friends who people I'm part of the Royal Academy of Engineering with, and they're in London with their startup companies. And you just don't get this kind of support as much. They're supporting us through trade missions. So we've been able to go to the main places where the coatings are made. So I've done several trips to the US, Japan, South Korea, and gone to these places that have met with people in person and really developed relationships quite quickly. And the Welsh government's got an amazing network where they're sitting in the embassies around the world, and they've got people working on the ground for you. You've just got to engage with them. And once you engage with them, it's great. And again, we're on the accelerated growth program. So we've had this amazing, one of our challenges was our sales process was kind of like, once the leads were coming in, the process wasn't really down. We were trying to set the process. So anyway, we worked with the AGP. They supplied us with an amazing consultant, and she's really sorted out our sales and marketing process. So it's very methodical. It's all rated, and it's got a lot of metrics in there, and it really changed the way we're doing things. And it's been brilliant. If we didn't have her experience to come in and kind of guide and direct us, we'd probably still be fumbling along and potentially sleepwalking into the end, because we've maybe run out of money. And at the end of the day, sales is the key thing for the company. Whatever you say, to keep the company alive is sales. There's opportunities, but it's the sales that are really important. So yeah, I think some of the big things have been kind of getting your head around the sales process when you're not necessarily got those skill sets. But what we've done is, again, talking about this upskilling, we've been able to utilize Neath Talbot to up our facilities. So we've had an amazing intervention rate. We've got a research and development lab, quality control lab with great equipment in there that if we didn't have that support, we probably wouldn't have bought, because we just, you don't have the backing or the funding yet. until those sales come in. So it kind of sped up our quality, it sped up our manufacturing. The support has been absolutely, undeniably has helped us grow. Without a doubt. And then again, with all these other elements, so the trade missions we've been able to do, or taking part in trade missions, being able to invite a potential customer in Japan to the British Embassy for an evening, was, that just gives you that another level of credibility. Ella, I mean, I'll let you talk about how amazing we've had the support from AGP.
The AGP support, getting there. So when I came to work for Hexigone full time, like Paddy said, we didn't have that sort of sales process nailed down. And with the help of a lady called Fiona, she's been absolutely awesome. And she sort of helped us implement our CRM system. So I think through doing the CRM system and implementing it, sort of understanding exactly the questions we need to ask customers, even little things, such a simple thing, but moving in terms of the customer journey, moving that time that we send them a sample, instead of sending it straight away, let's talk to that person first. Let's check they're validated, and that so it's going to be a win-win for both parties. The other thing that we've had to help with marketing has been going to some of the really big global coating shows as well. There's some really big key ones like the European Coating Show and the American Coating Show, and we've been co-funded by the Welsh Government with that as well. And that's just invaluable, because not only do you get to meet distributors, but you get to meet all the customers that you currently got, and you also get to make new customers as well. So that's just been great.
Brilliant. Sounds amazing. My final question is to you, because we need to sort of wrap this up soon, but my final question is, just give me your growth plans now. How do you see the future of Hexigone in the next 5 to 10 years, for example? And what do you need in order to get there?
Well,
yeah. And you have to do that in 5 minutes.
I mean, very simply, sales. We've managed to do our manufacturing process and get our capacity up to a level that's going to be able to support high levels of sales. I think one thing is we're really working on these sales, and they are there, they're coming. So when we're with our sales process, we say it's long. It's almost like we've got stage gates to jump through, and we've got through most of them. If it was a clinical trial, you'd have clinical trial 1, 2, and 3, and usually you get funded on getting through those different clinical. We don't. We're a materials company, so it's a hard tech. It's a hard thing to get through, but we've kind of got to a point now where things are in place, kind of. And so as those sales grow now, the team will grow, obviously. And that's the plan, is employing, not just for employing people, but they are going to be needed to fulfill the roles. And that's a range throughout the company as well. So from people who are highly qualified through to maybe apprentices. And what we want to do is to be able to hit a local market. There's no way we could do it with what we've got with our team members and currently. So, and obviously every team member's a cash burn. So we're working with distributors in each region. They've got the local knowledge. They feed it back to us. So it's all about growth at the moment. And then we will need to move to a new facility. We're imagining in about 2 years' time. We're kind of out of space at the moment, but it's just storage space. So, but we are working again with Neath Talbot. There's a new development coming, and we're hoping we're going to try and make the space work for us. That's again, the support on the buildings, what do we need, working with them to look at our growth. So over the next 5 years, we've got a plan with them, because we say, okay, this is what we think we're going to need. But yeah, I think the main thing is growing those sales, but we've managed to get ourselves out there with the help of, say, the Welsh Government. Neath Talbot have been a bit more granular with getting the facilities up to scratch and getting us going. And they're actually helping us on some other stuff I can't talk about right now, but hopefully that will come to fruition, which gives us more credibility again within the industries. So we're getting all our accreditation done. And then really it's just looking at, we're probably going to do a fundraise again soon, because we need the money to help us do that next step of growth. And beyond that, we might potentially be looking at taking our product to the local market. So having potentially, this is all just discussion at the moment, but actually expanding and having offices out in Southeast Asia and having some manufacturing maybe in the US.
I could talk to you for at least another hour, because I have to say, and I think it's the same with a lot of businesses, when you look at the manufacturing and engineering side, sometimes it can be a little off-putting and you don't understand some of the terminology, but it's so fascinating to hear how a company has grown so quickly over a short period of time. And I've got such a much better understanding, and I'm sure everybody listening will have a much better understanding of what you guys do. And I look forward to seeing where this takes you, because I think that I can see massive things for you in the future, and I wish you both well.
Thanks for having us, Helen.
Thanks, Helen. Thanks for the opportunity. And as I say, it's been all about the support, and even now working with you, this is through the council and just support networks. We're working with Innovate UK Edge, who are really helping us as well. Yeah, I'd be keen just kind of anyone who's listening to this, if you're thinking about asking for support, go and do it, because it has changed a lot of things for us, and it stopped us making a lot of mistakes that could have been highly detrimental to the company if we progressed through to them. So it's just go out and use the help that's out there, because at the end of the day, it's also free.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a great piece of
Win-win.
advice. Yeah. Excellent. Thank you.
My thanks to Patrick and Ella for talking to me today, and I wish them every success with their growing business. If you'd like to find out more about the Neath Port Talbot Innovation Exchange Forum, you can via For the Region at fortheregion.org.uk. And if you'd like to take part in this podcast series, then please message me, helen@fortheregion.org.uk. You've been listening to the Neath Port Talbot Innovation Exchange Forum podcast.